Happy New Year, everybody. Woo!
It is officially January 1st, 2023, as I record this podcast, and I'd like to welcome you to not only the new year, but episode 4 of Doodle Talk. Yes, that's right, you heard me, episode 4. That means there were 3 other episodes before this that I recorded and that I did, and I did them, and I finished them, and I put them up, and you all watched them until the very end. You did not skip. I'm so happy. Everyone watched 100%. Everyone watched all of it, and that's so great. And I'm so thankful. And I'm just looking forward to you guys doing that again on this one, because that would be super cool. And I love you. Thanks. Anyways, what's up, all you doodles and doodlers, you schemers and dreamers out there? Hope you're ready to take 2023 by the balls and kick it in its butt and get going on the ground, running with your feet first and running fast into the new year and doing all the things that you want to do, because that's what we do for the first couple of days of every new year. And I can't lie, it's pretty inspiring, and I get the old New Year's resolution bug myself. So speaking of which, let's talk about it. Let's talk about all that stuff, and let's jump into it. Welcome to Doodle Talk, episode 4, 2023. All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to Doodle Talk, episode 4, and we're going to start this one off by talking about the new year. So happy new year. Hope everyone, hope you got some time off, either for Christmas or New Year. You got to spend some time with people you love or people you may not love, but hopefully you got to relax and had some time off. I had about 3 or 4 days off this weekend, which was really nice. Normally don't get that many days off in a row, being a freelancer and stuff like that, so it was super cool, and I'm actually feeling pretty rested and ready to get into next week and just getting back to work and feeling motivated and a little bit recharged, which is what I was trying to get to by taking some of these some days off. But just talking about the new year, happy new year, first of all. 2023 feels kind of sometimes it feels kind of weird when you're like, oh man, it's 2021, or 2022. 2022 is cool just because it's 2 2s, 3 2s if you count the first one. I don't know why, that just seems kind of cool to me. 2023 doesn't feel bad though. I kind of go back and forth between thinking like odd or even years are better, and for no reason. I'm not like superstitious or anything, just whatever I'm feeling. And 2023 kind of feels good. Year of the Rabbit too, which is cool. Year of the Tiger last year was also really cool. Tigers are dope. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think because in a lot of cultures and stuff, rabbits are pretty lucky as well. It's kind of like a good luck charm. I think everyone could use a little rabbit, or like the rabbit foot kind of lucky charm kind of thing, but just spread out over an entire year. So let's hope it's a good one. Just kind of keeping up with some of the stuff I've been up to recently. Like I said, not a whole lot. Took some time off, so that's good. This is random, but I got a new phone. I finally upgraded a little bit. I had an iPhone 8 forever, and I got a used iPhone 11 Pro, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. It's kind of nice. I really like the small form factor, like the 8 and the SE and even the mini on the iPhone 13 and 12. But I wanted to just try. I wanted to see what it was like with a little bit bigger screen. And so far, it's only been a couple days, and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, like the nicer screen and cameras. The cameras was the main thing. That's why I wanted to upgrade a little bit, just for, posting things on Instagram or like taking videos and stuff like that, because I do actually use my phone a lot for art and like kind of work stuff too, so I felt it was important enough. I didn't really want to go the extra mile to pay for the 12, 13, 14, so used 11 Pro it was, and it was pretty cheap. It wasn't too bad of a deal, and it was like perfect condition. So yep, besides that, just ready to kind of get back into work, and also feeling really motivated for a lot of other art stuff I want to do, and hopefully you guys are too. I mean, the whole thing with like New Year's resolutions and I'm about to jump into mine, what I actually kind of sat down and wrote down. But the whole thing with that is like, you have this push to make these like New Year's resolutions, make these goals for yourself or whatever, and well, yeah, it's cheesy, it's pretty cheesy. But if it works, it works. And that's kind of the way I look at it. So I try and see if I can make something that's attainable, or it's always nice to, if you want to make a few like unattainable goals that you're kind of gonna try and just like kind of reach for, and like hopefully reaching out for those goals will just make you better or get you closer to what you're actually trying to do. That's actually what happened to me with a lot of stuff for last year, 2022. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to write down a goal on January 1st and like look at it every week and reassess it and be like, yeah, I'm gonna, I'm sticking to it. Oh yeah, I'm like checking things off, or it kind of depends on your goal. But it's while it can be cheesy, or some people might think it's stupid, I used to think it's pretty stupid, but it gives you an excuse to like try and better yourself or create a goal for yourself, which is never really a bad thing at the end of the day. So before I jump into my actual like New Year's resolutions for 2023, I just want to talk about my 2022 and some wins and fails, kind of things I succeeded in, things I didn't succeed in, things I wish I had done better. Yeah, so we'll start off with some of the wins, right? For 2022, I started freelancing full time, which is really cool. This was my first full year of working independently, only as a freelancer, taking translation jobs and doing lettering and typesetting for comics and web comics and manga and stuff like that. And I was completely self-sufficient for 1 year on that, which was really scary. And I had already been working in translation and stuff for about a year before that, but I was working at a company, so it felt safe enough, even though that was also really difficult. But I mean, just doing it on your own, I mean, that. I remember the first couple months when I wasn't sure if I was gonna get enough work coming in. Oh my god, it's so stressful. So if you're a freelancer out there, if you know what that's like jumping off the cliff and being like, well, I think there's a parachute in this backpack. Let me search for it while I'm like free falling off of this 1,000-foot cliff, and hopefully I find it and open it before I hit the ground and get smashed to pieces. And that's a feeling you might also know. So yeah, I would consider that a win for sure. Then the next one is I got some paid commission works, which is really nice. I think I've had a few, 2020 and 2021, sorry. I've had, a few things here and there, but last year was pretty good. Have some friends. Most of my commissions came from and I'd love to shout these guys out. The Ramen Bowl. My friends over at the Ramen Bowl, and it's a group of friends I grew up with, and they have a podcast called the Ramen Bowl, and you should definitely go listen to it. It's awesome. I love it. They haven't been podcasting as much recently, but a lot of the stuff they do, they talk about like games and tech and mostly games and kind of in that sphere. But yeah, they also just shoot the shit and talk and stuff. When I came back to Texas to visit my family back in April, May of last year, we did a podcast together, and it was really fun. But yeah, they have also been getting into a lot of saying games, but also a lot of like TCG, so like card games and stuff like that. And they did a lot of stuff with the new One Piece card game that just came out, and they've like hosted tournaments and stuff for they hosted one tournament for Play TCG, and they did it live on their Twitch, and it was super awesome. And they commissioned some stuff from me for that, and before that as well, just some other stuff. So yeah, I would definitely go check them out. They're awesome. You can find them on Twitch and wherever you download, like Spotify, podcast app, all that stuff. The Ramen Bowl. And yeah, on YouTube as well. And you can see some of my art and stuff there too. But yeah, that was most of all the paid commissions I got from last year, but it was more than the year before that. So I'm super excited that I got to do those. Super grateful and stuff too. because it gave me a lot of experience and kind of gave me a reason to push myself. I did a lot of like animated backgrounds and like looping animated backgrounds and kind of like Twitch stream kind of assets and stuff like that. So it was cool. I hadn't really done that before, and it was something I always wanted to do. So to be able to do it like that and as a commission was just perfect. And then this one's kind of general, but like I grew better as an overall artist. So kind of tying into what I was just talking about too is like I was able to push myself, do things I hadn't normally done before, and get better. I think I just got better overall. And there's a connecting fail to this one too that I'll get into in a second. But the next thing I want to say is I started this podcast. I started the Doodle Talk podcast, and I mean, I know it was like towards the end of the year that I started it, so technically this kind of was like a goal that I wanted to do in 2022/2023, but it just ended up happening sooner than later. So I would just consider this like a continued goal for 2023, but also a win for 2022. Another thing is like I started an Etsy shop and sold some of those like animated backgrounds that I was telling you about that I did for the Ramen Boys over at the Ramen Bowl, and started taking it a little bit more seriously and just trying to get some passive income revenue streams going for myself, which is something I still need to update and keep working on. But I started it and I got it going, and that was a win. I consider that a win, you know. And then just some outside of art stuff, some random like personal life kind of things that I'm not going to get into anything too detailed or anything, but like we moved apartments, and that was really nice. I'm in a place that I really like right now. I went running 2 or 3 times every week. That's been a personal goal of mine for the past couple years now. I've been able to run like over 250 miles every year for the past 2 years now. So that's my like minimum goal is like 250, and I've been able to get more than that the past 2 years. So super happy. Running has become like a cornerstone of my life, like exercising multiple times a week just to like get the stress out and like lower your anxiety, and it helps me focus, and I think of so many creative things while I'm running too. It's super nice. It's kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So moving on from that, the fails. So I have some fails written down. This one is connected to that getting better as an overall artist, which is true, but this first fail is like I haven't been sitting down to draw as much as I want. Especially, I mean, when you're moving house and like, you know, dude, life gets so busy that, you know, it's hard to sit down, and you can't draw for like 2 hours every day. You just don't have the time or the energy. But I'm normally able to, you know, one or a few days a week really get those like 2 or 3 hour drawing sessions in or something like that, and or at the very least like get in 10-15 minutes of drawing or doodling. And I was slacking real hard from like October until maybe like a week ago. But I mean, I've still been working hard, and I've been doing a lot of like editing and more like YouTube focused stuff, like starting this podcast and everything like that. But like just the hours of like literally sitting down and drawing has kind of dropped a little bit. So I would consider that a fail, and something I'm really gonna force myself to do better next year or this year now. One thing that is like, it's kind of a fail, but I also like consciously decided to not keep doing it, was like I was doing Twitch streams for a while, it was super fun and I really liked it. Obviously didn't have too many people coming in and checking my streams, but it was when I was working on some of those animated backgrounds that I was talking about. So it was like the perfect thing, because a lot of the times once you have like the framework and everything laid out for an animation, if you're just kind of like cleaning up like roughs or like doing in-betweens and stuff like that where it's somewhat repetitive, like I already had it all basically laid out. It was a lot of just kind of like not tracing, but like going over roughs and like I was saying, just kind of touching it up and stuff like that. It's perfect content for like Twitch or if you're streaming, because you can talk to people while you're doing it. You don't need to be too focused. Everything is like essentially already laid out by you previously. So that was really fun. I think it was like a month or two. I was doing it like once or twice a week, and it was cool, but I kind of stopped. I got busy with other stuff, and I just couldn't keep it up at the time. And then I did have time later on, but I had kind of gotten out of the rhythm of it. And to me, it just seemed, I was like, I don't want Twitch to be my main thing. It would be fun to do streaming and stuff, but I couldn't like convince myself to do it, just because I wasn't sure if it was worth it for the time. Because at the end of the day, I don't think I was getting as much done during the stream. It was still like I was still working and getting stuff done, but it needed to be, like I said, it needed to be a particular type of thing that I was working on. Otherwise, I feel like it would take me longer, or I was losing time based on how much work I was doing. But it's something I've definitely been thinking about, especially like doing this podcast has been really, really fun. And I think the decision to do this podcast also came a little bit from how much fun it was doing streaming and stuff like that. I've had like my music was my big thing before drawing, really, as a teenager, and I've gone to school for like audio engineering and stuff, and so like that aspect of everything is super fun for me too. Like getting to talk into a mic and wearing headphones, just like, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm like a teenager recording music again or something like that. So there's a lot of things I liked about it, is what I'm trying to say, and I'm considering coming back and trying out streaming again for a little while. It's low pressure, which is nice because I don't have a lot of followers or anything, so I would consider that a technical fail though, because I didn't give it a shot as much as I told myself I wanted to. So I'll consider that a fail and something to think about. Another thing is I didn't grow a lot on like Instagram and YouTube. This is probably the biggest fail, because I believe my main goal for 2022 was like get 1,000 subs on YouTube and really push that content and stuff like that. And I had made some videos a little bit later in the year. This wasn't from the start. This was kind of like, I think like a midway kind of goal that I had set a little bit, maybe from like March or April. And I was working pretty hard towards it and getting some traction and stuff like that. But it was another thing with like Twitch, where it was kind of like where I was at the time and the stuff I wanted to make like didn't translate into making videos for YouTube, and I like really hadn't found like what I wanted to do. So it was a lot of like time just being like, I don't want to force myself to do this if it's gonna be something I don't like. Plus I'm not mixing like the ingredients aren't right. It's not like coming up in a good balance. It was just kind of a lot of things, wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. But I did still, I made stuff for it, and I tried to grow my audience a little bit. Instagram too, it was the same kind of thing, where it's like I was spending so much time just like making posts and getting ready to post them and scheduling them to post and stuff like that, that it's like I would focus on that more than like actually making stuff. So, and it's really hard with Instagram too. Like YouTube, I think if you put the work in and if you're good enough, like you'll get rewarded, and you'll eventually, you can get enough followers and stuff like that. But Instagram, especially this past year, all the changes with the algorithm and TikTok kind of blowing up and Reels becoming like Instagram fighting to compete with TikTok, and if your content isn't a certain way, you're not gonna get more followers, you're not gonna get a lot of views, you're not gonna get a lot of traction. So I was really disheartened for a while, and I think that's why I still consider this a fail. But there's external influences that affect you, and if I'm kind of split on this, because part of me is just like I just want to like hunker down and like do work and then post it, and then hopefully people that like it will see it or follow and stuff like that. That's always been my kind of mentality with music in the past as well. But then there's the other part of me where it's like, yeah, I want to be a little bit more extroverted. I want to have fun. I want to like post more different kinds of things, and like some of that does relate to the whole like TikTok, like getting, I don't know, getting more recognized by people, like the kind of content that's kind of like trendy or like can get more eyeballs. So I've really been trying to like find a middle ground on that, and that kind of sums it up for the fails. So that was like the wins and fails of 2022, like a retrospective look from my perspective. And if you've never followed me before, don't really know me, that may have just seemed like a random like recap, so apologies for that. But hopefully, I mean, it's pretty general, everything I'm talking about. So if you're an artist or somebody who's trying to grow in social media or anything, you know, this is pretty general. And if you've ever been there, know that I've been there too. And what happens for me is I normally end up coming out of it being like, okay, I just need to like try this again, but with a different approach. That's kind of how this podcast started as well, because I don't feel like I'm selling out or anything like that with this. I mean, if anything, I'm doing the worst thing, which is like creating long form content when short form content is king. But in my opinion, you need to make both. So if you want to make the long form content, like a podcast or long videos and stuff like that, like, don't be discouraged to do that. You should definitely do that. And just know you need to have the wherewithal to see what's working and what doesn't. And this will kind of get into some of my goals for 2023. So let's just jump into that. So my first goal for 2023 is, this may be shocking, but get to 1,000 subs on YouTube. So I just recycled my old goal from last year, but this time I'm like really serious. This time, over 2022, I think the main thing that happened to me is like I really got into YouTube. Of course, like I used it before, but I didn't really follow a lot of people. There was a few channels that I watched like consistently, but man, 2022, for whatever reason, I got super into watching Pokemon Nuzlocke, mostly Pokemon challenges. Shout out to Pichal Yan, great streamer, I love it. And like getting into like YouTube and just kind of understanding the space that is YouTube more, and seeing the possibilities as a creator. Because before it was like, oh, if I can create videos and get X subscribers, X views, I'll get X amount of money. But I didn't have like a rhyme or reason of like what the videos I wanted to create were. And after it's like, you know, it's with anything. Like if you're going into any kind of like creative field, like you have to study the people who are doing well and like everybody, what they've done, like, and then make that into your own thing. And like, okay, now how can I apply this to my own work and like do that on my own terms? And that's something I've kind of just been like internalizing over the past 6 to 8 months of like really being into like tons of different YouTubers and tons of different content, and like watching so much stuff to a fault where it's like I sometimes like, dude, stop watching YouTube and like go make something, because there's diminishing returns on all of that stuff for sure, and I do not want to undermine that fact at all. But yes, 100 or 1,000 subs on YouTube is the first goal, and I know I can do this. So hopefully, if you're watching this, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Or check out my Instagram. Anything's appreciated. You definitely don't have to. If you think I'm dumb and you hate me rambling and talking about stuff, that's totally cool. I love you too. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. This is a good challenge. I'm really looking forward to it. Last year it was more like, maybe I can get to 1,000 subs, and this year it's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna figure out how I can do it. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. And then goal number 2. This is kind of coming off of something I was just talking about a little bit earlier. Of like me feeling split between like trying to be introverted and extroverted. This is goal number 2. Inject more personality into my content and videos. So I think one thing with me is like I love comedy and like being funny and like joking around and stuff like that, but I'm also like can be very like somber and like stoic and like go live alone in the woods like Henry David Thoreau at Walden, kind of like there's multiple sides to me. But I think like, I don't know, man, at the end of the day, as you get older too, I think it's just like, who cares? Like, let's just have fun kind of a thing. Like, I think those stoic times and moments always have their purpose, and like, yeah, life can't just be a party 24/7. That's not what I'm saying. But yeah, I just want to have more fun with my own content, and like, you know, try out some like little skit videos and stuff, like hopefully like keeping it pertaining to art and stuff for the most part. But I mean, dude, I grew up watching like Balloon Shop and, you know, Happy Tree Friends, and like some really fun, dumb, wild shit, you know. So like there's always been that part of me that really wants to do more stuff like that. So I was thinking like, you need to do that, man, because it's like I was saying, you know, you need to be able to reach out to people. You can't just like be stoic and expect yourself to just pop off and be amazing, you know. So goal number 3 is just going to be continue freelancing and being independent, which is something I'm still doing here going into January. I think maybe a caveat I would add on to that is like try to get more income. Well, it's just kind of related to the next one, but get more income from art and not just translating and stuff like that. Because like I said in a previous episode, I do love translating and stuff like that, but I want to get more work for doing art stuff and YouTube and videos and stuff like that. So I'm trying to find a better balance with all of that, and that's going to be one of the goals for this year. Then this is goal number 4, kind of connected to that last one, but create passive income and try to average at least $100 a month by the end of 2023. And that's kind of like randomly specific, but I set the bar really low because this pertains to like YouTube, Etsy, like if I have a website or anything, like selling prints or merch or anything, which hasn't gone so well in the past. But there's other things I've also considered at some point, like trying to make a Patreon or something like that. Just need to have the right, you know, one step at a time with all of these things. I don't encourage you to be like a beginning artist and just be like, I'm going to create a Patreon and I don't know what I'm doing and I don't have anything to offer people. Because I feel like at least with Patreon, you need people want to have to, you need them to want to support you in some capacity. So if you're just a really cool dude and you're just a beginning artist, you're a really cool person, like maybe you can, that's fine. But I feel like I wasn't ready for anything like a Patreon, but I did make my Etsy and I'm working on the YouTube stuff. So sorry if this is like weirdly transparent of me just like telling you guys how I want to like be able to make money doing this. I hope it doesn't come off like, I don't know what the right word is, like not cheesy, but like tacky or whatever. But I just want to be really honest with my goals so that you can see like, okay, well, I can look at Sam and he's here like at this point, like maybe do a little soft comparison or see like, oh, I'm doing better than him, so I know I'm at this point, so like that's good. Even if that's the case, like that's totally fine. I just want to be really honest about what I want to do, so you can have some perspective or motivation for what you want to do as well. But yeah, I think $100 a month, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but man, I mean, it would help me if I could get 100, 200 a month. So my main focus is probably going to be creating more stuff for my Etsy shop, which is also Studio Fudelio, by the way, if you want to check it out. And trying to get the 1,000 subs on YouTube and like possibly get monetized within the next year or so. Even if it's $10 a month, I really don't care. Just that's the goal. And then one last goal for 2023, and this is kind of a little secret teaser goal, and this is create Doodle Island. And I'm not going to get into what a lot of that's what it is, and I'm still working on a lot of stuff, but I've had a really big kind of passion project developing in my brain for the past, I don't know, this has been a while now, maybe 3 or 4 months. And it's almost like a, you know, Doodle Talk is this podcast. So if that helps you, kind of take some guesses on what it might be, it's just going to be something really cool and a really fun way for me to be creative. And I think this is going to be a good way for me to be creative like I wanted to, have more fun like I wanted to, and still push myself to create like animations and comics and drawings and stuff like that contained within its own world. And that's all I'm going to say about it for now, because I'm definitely working on some stuff and would like to kind of present that more properly at a later date. So those are my 2023 goals. And if you like them, or if you have any similar goals, like, let me know. You could always pop down in the comments, let me know. And let's do it. Let's do it together. Like, if you're an artist kind of at the same whatchamacallit, like same level as me, or like same position right now, then, which I hope you are if you're watching this, because that's kind of like the audience that I hope is watching this as well. Or if you're just an artist in general, or if you just you have a hobby, you're not an artist, you want to buy a typewriter and like write a novel just for fun, like, just fucking do it, man. Because this is kind of going back to the thing I was talking about in the last episode, which is don't wait, just start. And that's what I hope these goals can do, is kind of further that motivation to do that, And it's like, when you think about it too, you got to be realistic. Because for however many wins I had last year, I also had some fails, but I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm trying to look at it, learn from it, and get better at what I want to actually do, So like, you got to think about what can you do to reach these goals. And one of the things is consistency. Consistency is key for sure. Just don't stop. That's the thing too, is like, for every fail that I had, for every project that I let go, I had another thing coming in and like taking its place. So I never really felt too bad. Like, I didn't feel too bad about streaming Twitch stuff, because I had more projects and more commissions and like other stuff like that. And I was like, let's switch over and make some like YouTube tutorials and stuff like that, like videos that I wanted to try and make. So the time just got shifted. Like the work that I would use that time for got shifted. And then, I'm going to say this is the next thing is just sit down and start doing the work. Don't wait, just start. Consistency, don't wait, just start. Just start doing it now. Don't wait till tomorrow, just start doing it now as you're listening to this podcast or watching. Because at the end of the day, right, like, this is the thing that I've written here, is like, I'm not worried about failing this time around, because I've grown more comfortable in my own skin and as a personal artist, or as a person and an artist, It's like, you really, when the new year comes around, it's like, how many New Years do you get to have a resolution, to have a goal? You never know, man. And I don't want to get all philosophical and like spend every day like it could be your last, but you don't even need that mindset. You just got to see, like, okay, if there's something you really, really want to do, go and do it. Start doing it. I don't care if you're bad at it. I don't care if you're terrible. I was drawing as a kid. I drew so much as a kid, and I stopped drawing when I got into music and, like playing soccer as a young kid. Music became my world, and I still love music. It's one of my main loves of all time. But I got back into drawing like back in like college, basically. I think I was like maybe like 20, 21. I just started drawing again, and it was so shit. I was so shit for so long. And I'm 29 now. And I'm better, obviously. Like, I have the ability to kind of like look at my own work and judge myself properly more now. And obviously I can say I've gotten better, but I'm not where I want to be. But I don't care. It's fine. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm trying to do the things that I want to do. And because when I don't do them, like, there's something nagging me in the back of my head, and it won't let it go. It won't let it go. And I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I got to just do this. So if you have that feeling at all, because the more you do it, the stronger it grows. If you have that like nagging, incessant feeling of like, man, I think I should do this. Like, maybe I could do this, instead of just like doing something that I don't want to do. And if you need to do something you don't want to do in order to get there, or while you're doing it, that's totally fine. I'm also have definitely been there, and still am technically. I'm doing that right now. With some of the other work that I get that I don't like. I don't love some of the work I get and have to do. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents right there for you. So let's do it. Let's get these goals for 2023. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it. And yeah, let's jump into topic number 2. All right. So the next topic, the last topic I want to talk about for today is, how many followers do you need to actually be successful? I think this is pertinent coming off of some of the goals and what I was just talking about before, because it's like, if you set these goals for yourself, like 1,000 followers or 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, what does that mean? why would you want 1,000 subscribers? Obviously, you want to get more people to follow you and to potentially get money from it, right? That's like most people's idea. Some people just do it for fun and they don't care about any of that, and that's totally fine. That's probably honestly better than most of the people who are like literally just doing it for money or whatever. So I just wanted to talk about my opinions on what makes you truly successful. This is kind of connected a little bit. The first episode I talked about like what does it mean to be a professional, So this is a little bit of that territory as well, but kind of specifically talking about followers on social media, mostly here talking about Instagram and YouTube. So I've definitely heard people kind of say that like 10,000 followers is the benchmark where you can really start you have your own fan base, and once you hit 10K, you start getting found a lot easier especially on like stuff like Instagram, and it kind of sucks, right? Because it's like getting to 10K is super hard, but then it seems like once you get to 10, 20K, then like it could take you 5 years to get from 0 to 1,000, right? Or 0 to 10K. Let's just say 5 years, 0 to 10K. And then you could go from like 10K to 200K in like a month just because of the exposure and the way the algorithms work. For kind of, if you're already successful, it's easier to get even more successful, which looking from the outside in can seem like that's not fair. Like, why is that happening? But I mean, there's also a reason why that's happening, is because that person or that company, that studio made it to that level, and it's just kind of a natural thing. I mean, it does seem very natural, right? Because you think of a snowball, like starts off kind of slow, picking up speed, and by the time it's big, it's already going really quick. It's going fast. It's picking up more snow. May not be the best analogy there, but it works. If you think about it like that. And just looking from my position on Instagram, I don't know right now. I think I have like 700 followers or something. So I still haven't even hit 1K, which is something I definitely could be trying harder. I could be promoting things more. I could be like using ads and stuff. Because Instagram and Facebook, I mean Meta, right? Like Meta, their ad stuff is pretty good. Apparently, and from what I've heard a lot, like compared to like Twitter. And not even talking about like the Musk era Twitter, but just even before, like AdSense was pretty bad, and you didn't get a lot of like traffic going your way, and it's a lot more lucrative and worth it to do on Facebook or Instagram. And I don't really like Facebook, so I don't use it. I tried using Twitter, but I couldn't really get into it. It's just too much stuff to focus on. So all I really do right now, I tried TikTok for a second too, couldn't really get into it. Even though that's probably the best platform you could be on if you want to create short form content to grow yourself as an artist or like content creator or whatever. But for now, I just can't. I'm picking Instagram and YouTube just to focus on, because those are my two main ones. Those are my favorite. I'd say YouTube is probably, for like seeing my favorite artists, Instagram is still my favorite. But for like in general, as far as like videos and content and stuff, I'd say YouTube is my favorite. And excuse me, sorry. Trying to get to 10K from 700 or whatever I am now is a pretty daunting task, but I have a pretty good like body of work that I've built up on Instagram over the years, and just taking it slow like that has kind of been my approach. And I've kind of shifted my focus on to trying to focus more on YouTube, which is going to be even harder, because on YouTube I had one YouTube account forever. I had some like music stuff that I made on there, like cool little videos that I put together with music that I made and other stuff, just kind of like a mishmash of different things. I don't even know. I think I have like 20 subscribers on YouTube. I'm just being completely honest here. It was even less kind of recently, but I think I've gotten a few more in the past few months. And so like, I mean, you could just say I'm under 50, I'm under 100, I'm under 100 on YouTube. So thinking like, damn, okay, you need 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and like X amount of hours watched in order to get monetized. I believe those, I forgot, it's been a minute since I've looked at the requirements. But yeah, it's like, okay, so those numbers are not great. I've seen, it's crazy too, because I've seen like Instagram accounts where it's like I started following them. I follow a lot of people who don't have that many followers as well. It's not like, that's never a bad thing in my opinion. But I've seen them blow up and like have always been like, nice, like that's awesome for that person or whatever. And it's nice to see people blow up and like kind of get theirs. But I've seen other people like me where it's like, man, we've been struggling for a while and we don't really get that boost as much as we might have wanted or something like that. And it's definitely not, don't feel bad about it. There's a real push and pull to be like, oh, maybe I should do more trendy things and like jump on bandwagons and do like art challenges and stuff like that. And if that's what you want to do, man, do it. If you can create cool stuff with that, like that's totally cool. That's awesome. But if you feel like you're going to be forcing yourself to do it and it's going to come across as like non-genuine, then I don't think you should do it. Because that's why I haven't done some stuff, because I'm like, I'm gonna like force myself to do this and it's gonna be super fake. But there's a few things that have been like, oh, I can genuinely enjoy doing this. Like some people like the draw this in your style. I like a lot of those. There's actually one currently that I really want to do, like a little short animation draw this in your style thing. I think the one challenge I did last year was like the Sailor Moon, that one clip of her like looking back like that or whatever. And all the people doing the redraws, I did that in my style. That was really fun. And stuff like that is, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you just got to look at yourself and be like, was I being smart enough? Was I marketing myself well enough to get more subscribers or followers? And like, you got to be brutally honest with yourself. Because when I see that, I'm like, oh, I still haven't cracked 1,000K on Instagram. It's like, that's because me, especially because in the past couple months I haven't been posting as much, because I've been trying to focus on more long form content like this and like prepping. I've been prepping a lot of stuff in the past like couple months, getting ready to put more effort and energy into YouTube as well. But that means I'm posting less on Instagram, or like I'm making less content that I could post on Instagram, because the algorithm is a harsh, cold bitch, and it's hard. Sometimes you feel like you're just putting water into an ocean and it's not going anywhere, and it doesn't work. But at the same time, like I was saying, like there is no woe is me here that I'm trying to express. It is all like, look, man, you could have been smarter about things, or you could have worked harder in this or that, and you could have got more followers, which is what I'm trying to be more pragmatic about here with YouTube and stuff like that. And again, sorry for being like super brutally honest and upfront about all of my stats and like things I want to do and the goals and stuff like that. But I hope that just by being 100% transparent, and even if that it comes across as me just like thinking out loud or rambling on about things, I hope it can give you a nice perspective, or at least be like, man, yeah, I was there, I did that, or if you're in the same situation, like I said before, like hopefully give you a little motivation. And because the uphill battle at the start is super important. I mean, having a couple hundred followers is nice, actually. Like starting out when you got 0 or whatever, it's like, man, that can be a lonely time on a social media account, So getting the more people feels nice, but it's hard, And some people blow up overnight, but if the content isn't there, it's not gonna work, That's why I totally agree with the sentiment of like slowly building up your fan base over time, and then like getting your just desserts, like getting yours when it's your time is super important. And the only caveat with that is like, don't use that as an excuse of like, oh, my time just hasn't come yet, I'll just keep not posting and not trying and not getting better as an artist. Like that doesn't work either. So make sure you're brutally honest with yourself. But if you are in a spot where you're like, no, this is fine, if I'm not getting 100 followers every week or like whatever, like I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and like having faith in yourself, and being like blind to the realities of what you're not doing to better yourself as an artist, are like two things you don't want to mix up. So make sure you're like really brutally honest with yourself, because one thing like I like to do is here is like play devil's advocate, right? Like you can't just post once every month and expect to grow to 100,000 followers unless you're like just some like genius or prodigy, you know, like some music accounts and stuff like that, where it's like some kid who can just play Mozart beautifully and like he'll blow up, you know, and like that's dope, that's great for him. Or like some person, you know, like RIP Kim Jong-gi, the amazing artist who just like, he was so good, he could draw literally like anything from memory just because he drew so much, and his like reference library in his brain was so amazing. And it's really sad to see him go, because that's like, you don't see people like that every day. He was like such an amazing artist, and he literally could just turn any blank canvas into whatever he saw in his head, and it was amazing. And don't get me wrong, like I think I did see like one interview where he was like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't that good when I started too. I was just drawing like all day, every day. That's all I wanted to do. And that's how he got that good. But you know, if you are a person who is just more naturally gifted, then sure, maybe you can do that. But I mean, this goes with anything. Like if you don't put in the work, you're not going to see the rewards. It's pretty simple, you know. And the other thing, like I was saying before, is like, you could consider this unfortunate. Like it's unfortunate, but the way things work nowadays is like, you got to sell yourself. You have to be able to market yourself. If you're going to be online, if you're going to be on somewhere like Instagram and YouTube, like unless you're, like I was saying, unless you're just super lucky or like really, really, really talented, or like fall into a niche where like you don't need to reach out to people and like socially connect with them, which is like, most people fall into this category where like, you need to study, you need to see what people are doing, you need to use that, like I was saying, into your own art, or into whatever you make in your own way that's going to be appealing to other people. Because if you look at Mr. Beast on YouTube and you're just like, I'm just gonna count to 100,000, and then after that I'll get money and I'll start giving money away to people, like that's not gonna work. You can't do that. He already did that. That's the way he did it, and he did it in an original way that nobody had done before, so that's out the window. You can't do that anymore. But if you see some things that he does, or like, I mean, he's just probably the most famous example, so people probably know him. But you know, if you see like, oh, I wanna do this and that, and then I want to get a warehouse, and then I can create these games that we play and like stuff like that, like you're just taking, it's kind of like finding your own style as an artist, where you're like picking and choosing little things that you love about different artists and like practicing that, and naturally it just forms into your own style in your own genuine way. You have to do that, but you also have to be savvy. You have to be really business savvy, and you have to be able to like, you know, and I'm saying this to myself too, like I always say, like a lot of this kind of like pep talk kind of stuff is just like reaffirming it to myself to make sure that I do it as well. But that's why I was saying, like earlier, I was studying these YouTube creators and these artists on Instagram and these people, and I was like, what are they doing? What are they uploading? When are they uploading? What content are they uploading? How often are they uploading? Do they have a podcast? Do they have this or that? How are they reaching out to people? Oh, they made a newsletter. That's cool. That's something I really want to do now. Oh, that person does a podcast. Like, oh, it's solo. Okay, maybe I can do a solo podcast too. Like, I'm just listing off all these things that I've noticed over the past year or so, where you can implement it into your own content in a genuine way, and it's going to help you succeed, you know? Like that's my opinion for that, for sure. And then basically kind of the last thing that I want to just talk about before we wrap things up is like, make sure you're doing something you actually like. And even if this changes later, like if it's something that you end up not really liking and you want to shift, that's okay. But like, make sure you're doing something you actually like, because if you find success in that thing, you won't be able to do it forever, because you're going to get burnt out, or you're going to end up hating it, or it's going to make you feel like you're back at your 9-to-5 job, just in a different way. And you know, I've had little experiences with that, and you know, I mean, even kind of just talking about Twitch too, where it was like, I had a lot of fun, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do at the time, so I set it aside for the moment and haven't been streaming or anything like that. And it was fun, and I learned a lot, and it was a good experience, and I might even go back to it. So like, if it changes later, that's fine, but make sure like the main core, because the main core thing I've been doing is still like wanting to create animation art mixed with music and stuff that I can make, and making videos. So like, That may seem very vague, but in my mind, it's like super concrete of like what I want to make. And that hasn't changed. Like I still want to make all that stuff. So trying things out here and there along the way, and if it doesn't work, that's totally fine. But like make sure the core of what you want to do is something that you really, really want to do, because if it's not, like you're going to regret it and it's going to be bad, you know? And if you have to suffer a while doing something that you don't like I said before, like if you need to suffer a while doing something you don't like in order to get to the point where you are doing the thing you like, that's fine. Don't think of that as like a major deterrent to make you not try. The main thing is just doing something that you actually want to do, because that's going to be so important. And I think it's impossible to tell. So because if you're not sure and you're like, well, I love this right now, and like later down the road you end up not liking it, that's fine. But if you have a heart to heart with yourself right now and say like, I know I don't actually like this thing, I'm just doing it to try and get views or whatever, then that's a red flag. Don't do that. But if you're genuinely curious about something and you're like, yeah, you know what, I think I really like this, I'm gonna try it out, like that's fine. It's never black and white, right? But that's just something to look out for. And you know, it's step by step. You have 0, then you get 1 follower, then you get 100, then you get 1,000. Apparently, I wouldn't know. Then you get 10K, and then, you know, you're just shooting for the stars, baby. You're going for it. You're just shooting as high as you can. And I mean, you hear creators and people, artists and stuff talk about like, you know, once you have all the money, once you have that, blah blah blah, like, you know, it doesn't mean as much, and like they just wish they were still in their garage, like making little knickknacks, or like at that beginner phase. So I'm still in that phase myself, but hearing people talk, I've heard a lot of people kind of have that sentiment and talk about it like that. So one thing I try and do is like cherish the grind of like being in the moment of like, I'm not super successful yet, and it's kind of like a cool melting pot era. Like this is my like lava arc where I'm being formed into a hard obsidian rock. But it's like, you know, the fun part is like doing the work and trying to make it to where you want to be. And you know, I mean, it leads into that like the worst cliche ever of like it's not the destination, it's the journey. So yeah, I hate that one so much, but it's like, it's pretty true, you know. Fuck it, who cares? It's true. Just say it in a different way, and then you can still express the same sentiment. But yeah, that's gonna be it, you know. I think that's the main, if that's one takeaway, it's shoot for the stars, baby. Because, you know, it's a new year, it's a new day. You don't have forever to do what you want to do. You may only have a short window of opportunity before you have to give up on some of your dreams, which is a hard reality of life. It's not something that you can work your way around. And you know, there's no shame in giving up on something if you have a child and you want to spend more time with them, or like you need to take care of a family member or something. You should never feel bad about that. But if you are capable of trying to do something, then shoot for those fucking stars, man. Because I don't know, I'm doing it myself, and it's scary. It's super scary, but it feels good, and I'm gonna keep doing it. So I hope you will too. I think I'm gonna end it there. So that's it for this episode. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let's make it a good 2023, yeah? See you guys in episode 5. Peace.